First encounter. Surprise High Admiral Nexar of the Vidian Empire stood silent before the vast observation window aboard the VSS Eternal Dawn, his iridescent scales glinting in the faint starlight. The colossal Drut, pride of the Viridian fleet, led a fleet formation just exiting quantum space near the disputed Centauri sector. What they discovered there defied all tactical forecasts. 3 small ships floated in the emptiness ahead, hulls marked with strange emblems and an odd blue circle flag speckled with white stars. Compared to the Eternal Dawn, they were mere gnats, only an eighth its size, and their design seemed crude by Vidian standards. The Admiral's secondary heart stuttered as the sensor chief revealed the vessels were primarily composed of refined iron and aluminum. "Fascinating," Nexar murmured, his throat sacs trembling with intrigue. These must be the humans our intelligence warned about. The reports had been erratic. Some claimed humans were barely spacefaring, while others hinted at dangerous innovators who rejected typical tech evolution. "High Admiral," the COAM's officer called. "The central ship is hailing. Basic radio waves." Nexar's facial ridges rose in amusement. "Accept it. Let's hear what these primitives have to say." The hollow screen flickered on, displaying a human woman with dark skin and silver-streaked hair in a tight braid. She wore a simple Navy uniform, mostly unadorned. "Captain Maya Rodriguez of the United Earth exploration ship Curiosity. Welcome to the Centauri sector. I hope your quantum arrival was smooth." Nexar's amusement faded. They shouldn't grasp quantum travel, not with that level of tech. "Captain Rodriguez, I am High Admiral Nexar of the Vidian Empire. This sector is under our protection. Your presence violates Imperial space." Rodriguez's smile held, but her eyes glittered, making Nexar's scales itch. "An interesting claim, Admiral. We've been charting this sector for 6 months and found no existing claims. Maybe your quantum beacon system is malfunctioning." The bridge fell silent. The Vidian quantum beacon array was supposed to be invisible to lesser species, its very existence classified. "Speaking of which," Rodriguez continued, tapping off-screen, "you might check your encryption. There's a quirky vulnerability when exposed to quantum tunneling resonance. We patched it for you about an hour ago. Couldn't bear to see such fine tech left open due to a tiny lapse." Nexar's scales faded from royal purple to pale shock blue. "You patched our network? Impossible. It uses 11-dimensional quantum folds." Rodriguez nodded. "Yes, gorgeous work. But you missed accounting for observer paradox loops in higher dimensions. Easy mistake, really, if approached too theoretically. We found the fix trying to improve coffee makers." "Coffee makers? The translator must be wrong." "Oh, yes," Rodriguez beamed. "You'd be surprised how many of our discoveries came from trying to make the perfect coffee. Stable micro-wormholes. Accident. Someone wanted constant temp. Physics departments across MIT still joked about it," she added. Nexar's science officer was scrambling through data. "Sir, she's right. And I'm picking up power readings from their ships. Something odd. They're manipulating. Probability fields?" "Ah, so you can detect them," Rodriguez said, delighted. "Most species miss that. We call them quantum probability drives. Cleaner than antimatter, though early prototypes did occasionally turn coffee into exotic matter." Wild week. Nexar reeled. These humans stumbled into quantum mastery via beverage innovation. Their ships looked primitive because they prioritized functionality over appearance. Every Vidian assumption about technological development was unraveling effortlessly by humans discussing physics revolutions like morning gossip. "Captain Rodriguez," Nexar said, voice steady, "I believe we have much to discuss. Would you consider docking with the Eternal Dawn? For diplomatic talks, we'd be delighted, Admiral. Fair warning, though we're bringing our coffee once you... Try it. You'll understand why it's responsible for half our sun's scientific breakthroughs." I think your species will particularly enjoy our dark roast. As arrangements were made for docking, Nexar watched the human vessels with new eyes. Their simple appearance masked innovations that defied conventional understanding. The Vidian Empire had spent millennia advancing through carefully planned stages of technological development. These humans, it seemed, had simply looked at the universe and asked, why not the most disturbing part? They appeared to be genuinely enjoying themselves. Nexar had a feeling this encounter would change the galaxy forever. Whether that was good or bad remained to be seen. But one thing was certain. He was very curious about this coffee that had apparently helped humans revolutionize quantum physics. Perhaps he mused, watching Captain Rodriguez's ship prepare for docking. The Vidian Empire's carefully structured approach to advancement had caused them to miss something fundamental about the nature of innovation itself. The humans had shown that great leaps forward could come from the most unexpected places, even from the simple desire to make a better cup of hot beverages. He would have to mention this in his report to the Imperial Council right after he tried this intriguing human drink that had apparently helped unlock the secrets of the universe. The art of human innovation, the diplomatic chamber aboard, the Eternal Dawn buzzed with an energy High Admiral Nexar had never experienced in his 3 centuries of service. Captain Rodriguez sat across the crystalline table, steam rising from Asmal metal container she called a thermos around them. Human and Vidian engineers huddled in small groups engaged in animated discussions that occasionally erupted in exclamations of disbelief or delight. You're telling me Chief Engineer CAC said, his scales flickering between shades of green and excitement, that you discovered quantum entanglement communication because of a video game lag? Dr. Sarah Chin, the Curiosity's lead scientist, nodded while sipping her coffee. World of Warcraft raid night. Nothing worse than light during a boss fight. Some gaming engineers got together with quantum physicists at CRN. And well, she shrugged. The rest is history. Nexar watched as his most brilliant minds struggled to process the humans' approach to scientific advancement. The Vidians had spent generations perfecting their understanding of subatomic particles before even attempting quantum communication. The humans had apparently solved it because they wanted better ping rates in their entertainment systems. Captain Nexar addressed Rodriguez. I must admit your species' methods are unorthodox. Our records show you achieve faster than light travel barely 50 years after your first space flight. How is this possible? Rodriguez smiled, pouring a cup of coffee for the Admiral. His sensory tendrils detected complex organic compounds. And something else was that dopamine. Simple necessity. Admiral, we wanted to explore, but our lives are too short to spend centuries between stars, so we had to get creative. Creative Nexar repeated carefully, lifting the cup with his primary manipulators you call completely bypassing the standard progression of technological advancement. Getting creative. Who decided what standard? Rodriguez countered. Your civilization mastered quantum mechanics through careful study and theoretical modeling. We did it by trying to solve everyday problems. Different paths, same destination, a commotion from one corner. Drew their attention. A junior human engineer was sketching something on a data pad, while several Vidian scientists watched in growing agitation. Impossible, one of them exclaimed. You cannot simply bypass the quantum probability matrix by. He stopped, mandibles clicking in confusion as the humans' calculations pro-sound. Why not? The young engineer, whose nameplate readed PTL, asked genuinely. If you look at it sideways and think of it like a pizza delivery route optimization problem. A what? The Vidian scientist interrupted. All right, you don't have pizza yet. Trust me, once you try it, you'll understand why we spent so much computational power figuring out optimal delivery algorithms. Anyway, if you approach quantum routing the same way Nexar took a sip of coffee and immediately understood why humans had based so many discoveries around this beverage, his tertiary brain began firing with new neural connections, and he found himself considering problems from angles he never imagined before. The council will never believe this, he muttered, taking another sip. That's not even the best part, Rodriguez said with a grin. Wait until you see what we did with the ship's waste recycling. Systems turns out the same principles that make perfect compost also solve most of the problems with Cal fusion, before Nexar could process. That statement alarms blared throughout the ship. His communication officer's voice came through the internal. System tense with urgency. High Admiral 3 Christian warships have just quantum jumped into the system. They're charging weapons. Rodriguez's expression shifted from friendly to focus in an instant. Chan's the ones who've been raiding your outer colonies. Nexar's scales darkened with concern. Yes, they're a warrior species that's been causing trouble along our borders. Their technology rivals ours, and they're not known for diplomacy. Rodriguez took another sip of coffee. Looking thoughtful, you know. We've been working on something interesting with our waste recycling quantum fusion principles mind. If we try a little experiment? Captain, this is not the time for trust me, Admiral, she interrupted, already signaling her ship. Sometimes the best solutions come from the most unexpected places. Besides, she added with a wink, we've been looking for a chance to test our new defense systems. They're based on an interesting principle we discovered while trying to keep ice cream from melting. Nexar found himself wondering, not for the first time that day, if the humans' casual approach to universe-altering discoveries was brilliant, terrifying, or both. As he watched Rodriguez coordinate with her crew, he had a feeling he was about to find out. The Chans were about to learn what happened when you interrupted humans during a pleasant coffee break somehow. Nexar suspected this would be another story that the Imperial Council would have trouble believing. Battle of broken assumptions. The Christian warships loomed in the viewport, their obsidian hulls bristling with weapon arrays designed to inspire terror. Each vessel resembled a metallic predator. All sharp angles and threatening silhouettes, their leader transmission cut through space with characteristic Cryan subtlety. Vidian insects, your territory expansion ends. The Cian commander's voice faltered as he noticed the human ships. What are these primitive vessels have you resorted to hiring museum pieces as? Defenders Captain Rodriguez, now back aboard the Curiosity, raised an eyebrow at the transmission. She glanced at her tactical officer, Lisa Chen. Did they seriously just call us museum pieces? Pretty sure they did. Captain Chen replied, not looking up from her console where she appeared to be playing a game of Tetris. Admiral Maxar, still connected via quantum link, felt compelled to warn them, Captain. The Cians have developed shields that can withstand our most powerful quantum cascade weapons. Perhaps we should— Oh, don't worry about that, Rodriguez interrupted cheerfully. Lisa, how's that new defense algorithm coming along? Just about done, Captain. You know how Tetris is all about efficient space management and pattern recognition. Well, I figured we could apply the same principles to quantum shield harmonics. The math works out surprisingly well. Vectrian commander, clearly annoyed at being ignored, fired a warning shot that streaked past the Curiosity's bow. Surrender now, and we may spare your primitive allies. Vidian Rodriguez sighed, taking another sip of coffee. Lisa, would you kindly demonstrate our new shield technology for our Cran friends? The ice cream preservation variant, if you please, with pleasure. Captain Chen's fingers danced across her console, still occasionally dropping a Tetris block into place. You know, it's funny, when we were trying to figure out how to keep ice cream from melting in space without using power, we accidentally discovered you could create a quantum probability field that redirects energy based on geometric patterns. Kind of like how you arrange Tetris blocks to clear lines. The Cians, apparently tired of waiting, launched a full beach of quantum torpedoes at the human ships. Nexar's scales paled. That kind of firepower could vaporize a small moon. What happened next to aid his understanding of physics as the torpedoes approached the human vessels? They seemed to encounter something that made space itself hiccup. The energy weapons twisted, turned, and reorganized themselves into neat, geometric patterns before dissipating harmlessly into space. Did you just turn their quantum torpedoes into a game of Tetris? Nexar asked. Incredulously, more or less, Chen replied, finally looking up from her console. The shield creates a probability matrix based on game theory. Principles income and Genergy has to follow the rules of the game to get through most weapon. Systems don't play well with others. The Cryon commander was literally sputtering now. Impossible, our weapons are based on the most advanced quantum cascade principles in known space. Oh, those are lovely. Rodriguez nodded appreciatively. Very elegant. Mathematical models, but you're thinking in straight lines sometimes. You need to think more. Recreation. She turned to her communications officer. Jerry, would you show them what we learned from trying to optimize pizza delivery routes already on it? Captain Jerry's fingers flew across his console. You know how, when you're delivering pizzas in a big city, you have to account for traffic patterns, weather, and optimal temperature maintenance. Turns out those SAMI principles work great for targeting. Quantum weaponry. Before the CCKNs could react, precise beams of energy shot from the human ships, threading through space. In impossibly complex patterns, they bypassed the CTCAN shields completely, striking with surgical precision and doing absolutely no damage. What did you do to our ships, the KXAN? Commander demanded, panic creeping into his voice. As systems across his fleet began shutting down, nothing permanent. Rodriguez assured him, we just rerouted your power systems through a probability. Maze faced on Chicago's downtown delivery grid during rush hour. They'll reset in about an hour. Plenty of time for us to have a civilized discussion about territories and boundaries. Nexar watched in amazement as the fearsome Cryon warships drifted. Powerless in space, completely neutralized by human technology based on food delivery optimization and puzzle games. Captain, he said slowly, I believe the Imperial IAL Council will be very interested in discussing a formal alliance with Earth, though. I'm not sure how to explain in my report that we won a battle using ice cream preservation techniques and pizza delivery algorithms. Rodriguez grinned. Just wait until you see what we came up with while trying to keep our French fries crispy in zero gravity. But first, let's deal with our Cryon friends. I think it's time they learned about another Earth tradition, the diplomatic power of sharing the good meal. Jerry, do we still have those pizza ovens installed in Cargo Bay 3 as arrangements were? Made to host very confused KXAN commanders for an impromptu peace dinner. Nexar realized that the galaxy was about to change dramatically, and somehow Earth cuisine would probably be involved. Paradigm shift. The conference room aboard the Eternal Dawn had been hastily converted into what humans called the Tessera Complete, with makeshift tables and the enticing aroma of baking food. Admiral Mexer washed in fascination as three distinct species, Vidian, Cryon, and human, sat together, sharing what Captain Rodriguez had called the ultimate diplomatic tool, a good meal. The Cryon commander Vexar held a slice of pizza with his armored mandibles, his warrior stoicism crumbling with each bite, and you discover CED antimatter containment while trying to perfect this food's cheese consistency. Dr. Chen nodded, drawing diagrams on a napkin. The molecular structure of perfectly melted mozzarella led to some interesting insights about particle containment fields, though the real breakthrough came from trying to keep the crust crispy during teleportation. Nexar scales shifted to a shade of surprise. Kanan, you've mastered. Matter transmission to head to Rodriguez, shrugged, reaching for another slice. Nobody likes cold pizza. Speaking of which, that's actually how we solve the quantum tunneling equations, turns out. The math for getting a hot pizza from one place to another without losing quality is surprisingly similar to calculating quantum state transfers. The Cryon science officer, who had been quiet until now, suddenly spoke up. This explains so much about your shield technology. You're not following any of the standard theoretical frameworks. You're just solving problems as they come up. Pretty much. Lisa Chin confirmed, still playing Tetris. On her datapad, traditional scientific method is great and all, but sometimes you need to think outside the box or inside the pizza box. In this case, Vexor set down his pizza, his warrior demeanor completely transformed by the revelations of the past. Few hours, our entire species dedicated itself to becoming the perfect warriors we spent generations developing, our quantum cascade weapons, and you You defeated them with food delivery algorithms. To be fair, Jerry chimed in from his corner optimizing. Pizza delivery in New York City is pretty much warfare already. The principles transfer. Surprisingly well, a junior Vidian scientist who had been running calculations on his quantum pad suddenly looked up, his scales pulsing with excitement. High Admiral, I've been analyzing the human methods. Their approach to physics isn't chaos. It's beautiful. They're not ignoring scientific principles. They're discovering completely new ones by approaching problems from unexpected angles. Nexar nodded, beginning. To understand, instead of building technology to match their theories, they build theories to match their needs. Vexor finished, mandibles clicking in amazement. No wonder our traditional combat algorithms failed. We were playing chess while they were delivering pizzas. Captain Rodriguez smiled, pouring fresh coffee for everyone. They'd all developed quite a taste for it. The universe doesn't care how you discover its secrets, only that you do. Sometimes the most profound insights come from the simplest. Needs like keeping ice cream frozen, Nexar? Asked, his tone gently, teasing exactly. Though wait until you see what we figure out about dimensional physics while trying to solve the problem of tangled headphone cords. The gathered aliens all stared at their headphone-free communication devices, suddenly feeling like they'd missed something obvious. The Council of Elder Clans will never believe this, Vexar muttered, reaching for another slice of pizza. Centuries of martial tradition undone by human. What did you call it, fast food? If it helps, Rodriguez offered, we can explain it in terms of combat efficiency after all. What is a pizza delivery driver if not a logistics expert operating in hostile territory under strict time constraints? The Cryon commander blinked, all four eyes. That actually makes sense. Perhaps there are things our warriors could learn from your delivery personnel. Now you're thinking like a human, Rodriguez grinned. In fact, I have a proposal for both your species. Earth has been looking to expand its food delivery radius. Ever considered franchising? As the conversation turned to the possibilities of interstellar pizza delivery chains, Nexar realized that the galaxy was witnessing more than just a technological revolution. The humans weren't just changing how species approached science, they were changing how civilizations interacted with each other. Who would have thought that peace in their sector of space would come not through military might or careful diplomacy, but through shared meals and the universal appeal of perfectly melted cheese? The real question now was, what would humans accidentally discover next while trying to solve their everyday problems? And more importantly, would it involve more delicious food? Looking at this empty coffee cup, Nexar had a feeling the galaxy's most interesting discoveries were yet to come. Unity in diversity. 6 months after the historic first contact in the Centauri sector, the Galactic Council chamber was buzzing with unprecedented activity. Representatives from dozens of species had gathered to witness something that would have been unthinkable. Half a year ago, the joint presentation of the first human Vidian Cakesan Cooperative Initiative. High Admiral Nexar stood at the podium alongside Captain Rodriguez and Commander Vexar, still amazed by how much had changed. The chamber itself reflected the human influence at sipped various Earth beverages. Coffee had become a galactic sensation, and more than a few representatives were discreetly enjoying what humans called snacks during the proceedings. Distinguished delegates, Nexar began, his scales shimmering with pride. 6 months ago, we thought we understood the natural progression of technological advancement. We were wrong. The humans have shown us that innovation knows no single path. Rodri stepped forward, car carrying not a data pad, but a simple paper notebook. Another Earth custom that had strangely caught on among alien scientists. Something about the tactile connection helping with creative thinking. She'd explained when we first met our galactic neighbors. She said they were confused by our methods. Now we're proving that combining different approaches leads to discoveries none of us could have made alone. The main HOLA display activated, showing their first joint project. The assembled delegates gasped, some in shock, others in admiration. We call it the Unified Innovation Initiative. Vexar announced, his warrior mandibles now decorated with elegant diplomatic markings, a network of research stations. where scientists from all our worlds work together, approaching problems from every possible angle. The display showed images from the first station Vidian theoretical physicists working alongside human short-order cooks to develop new food preservation technologies, which had unexpectedly led to breakthroughs in temporal mechanics. Christian warriors and Earth delivery drivers collaborating on revolutionary spaceship designs based on optimal route planning in congested cities. The results have exceeded our wildest expectations. Rodriguez continued by combining Vidian systematic research KXAN, discipline, and human, let's call it creative problem solving. We've made more progress in 6 months than any of us made in decades alone. A delegate from a newly space-faring race raised an appendage. But how can we be sure this approach is sustainable? It seems so chaotic. Chaos Nexer chuckled, a very human gesture. He picked up, "Let me tell you about chaos. Last week, a human scientist spilled coffee on a Vidian quantum computer. Instead of causing a disaster, it led to a breakthrough in wet computing. That solved our neural network limitations. The week before that, a Cran warrior suggestion about battlefield strategy helped optimize Earth's global internet infrastructure. The universe is vast and full of mysteries," Rodriguez added. "Why limit ourselves to solving them in just own way?" Speaking of which, she grinned at the assembled delegates, who's ready to hear about our new faster-than-light drive design. It started when someone asked why space couldn't work. Like a microwave oven, the chamber erupted. An excited discussion. Nexar watched as centuries of formal protocol gave way to genuine curiosity and enthusiasm. Across the galaxy, research centers were adopting what had become known as the human approach, solving complex problems by connecting them to everyday experiences. The Chans had transformed their warrior acme into innovation centers, where combat training included edge shifts at busy restaurants to develop strategic thinking. Vidian scientists now started each day with what humans called brainstorming sessions, often involving food games and seemingly unrelated activities that somehow led to brilliant discoveries, as Rodriguez explained their new drive system, which somehow involved principles derived from toasting the perfect marshmallow. Nexer reflected on how much had changed. The galaxy had expected humanity to learn from its elder species. Instead, humanity had taught them all that the path to the stars could be paved with pizza, coffee, and the simple desire to make everyday life a little bit better, and that's not even the most exciting part. Rodriguez was saying, her eyes twinkling. Wait until you hear what happened. When we introduced a group of quantum physicists to mini-golf, the future Nexer realized would be very different from anything their civilizations had imagined, and somehow that was perfectly fine after all. As humans like to say, variety was the spice of life, though he was still trying to figure out exactly what spice had to do with it. Looking around the chamber at the excited faces of so many different species, all sharing ideas, food, and friendship, he knew one thing for certain: the galaxy was finally ready to stop taking itself so seriously and start enjoying the journey of discovery. And somewhere out there, a human was probably solving the mysteries of the universe while trying to build a better sandwich. Nexer couldn't wait to see what they would discover next.